Welcome back to the Prosperity Playbook. Thanks for tuning in. You've got Renee, Britt, and Courtney here, and we are sharing life lessons and things that we have learned along the way with you. Today, we wanted to talk about mentorship and how to ask for help. These two ladies in this room with me are two of the best mentors that I could have ever had in my life, and I feel like since meeting them, I have become a better person. My business has thrived, and I'm grateful for the two of you every single
Aw,
day.
Ditto.
she texted us that yesterday too.
And I think this is really important because it can feel in 2025 like you have to go at everything alone. Like we're all supposed to be hyper independent and figure it out and just grind. And I really think that that is so silly because there are so many people that have already been through the hard things and they have done the heavy lifting. And if you can learn from them and take even just a sliver of what they did to gain success and not have to trudge through the mud every step of the way, why would you not choose to do that?
Exactly. I totally agree with that. I think there's no reason to reinvent the wheel. And I think there's almost like two divergent topics here a little bit that both mean the same thing. One is everybody's so busy right now. And I feel like it's become this badge of honor of like, oh, I'm so busy all the time. My calendar is so full. And I freaking
Right?
hate
People are
that.
like, hey, how are you? And it's like, oh my God, I'm so busy.
Right. And I'm so tired of being the person that says that because it's like busy doing what? And I think that's
We
where
know what you're doing.
Basically, there's nothing Renee's not doing.
that is way not true. But I have had to get really clear on what are the important things to me. It's the old thing like put the big rocks in the jar first, and then you can fill in with the gravel and the sand and the water. So you do have to really prioritize. But I am a great hand at asking for help. I've learned over the last couple of years that I need to hire out for the things that I'm not great at, and I've hired some good people around me. I've hired technology people because while I can run my computer sort of, it's way smarter than me.
You all should have seen us trying to set up our podcast studio. It was a real struggle until we got Saul involved.
Hey, yeah, we have got it dialed now. Thank you, Saul, Postman Digital. But we had definitely some struggle fest things happening there. But I do feel like my business took off when I found the right people in my life. And we've talked about this a little bit before, that having somebody that will cheer for you always is a huge thing. I feel like a lot of the people in my life cheered for me until I passed them, and then they stopped cheering for me. And that's a really hard thing to see. So when you look for a mentor, hopefully it's somebody that will cheer for you forever. But if it's not, like, I do think sometimes we outgrow our mentors, and you got to keep searching for the next one. And I think when people think of a mentor, it's supposed to be like this old person that's been in the business for 47 years. And I don't think it has to be. Like, I actually think Britt is a mentor for me. If you guys didn't watch our episode about movement, like, I learned so much from her in that I could immediately implement that is going to make a big difference in my world. So I think your mentors can take all different sizes and shapes and
Ages.
Absolutely. And it can be somebody in your industry. It can be somebody out of your industry. And I think there's personal mentors, and I think there's business mentors, and they sometimes are the same and they're sometimes different.
I think a mix of mentors gives you a well-rounded support system too. Like,
Yeah.
I don't think that it's just, you're trying to find this like Jedi that's going to teach you everything. Like, it's
Sure.
great to have mentors for different parts of your life. And I also think, you can find mentors in networking groups, LinkedIn, industry events that you attend, alumni connections, just different local professionals. But I also think that you can find them by listening to podcasts and reading books. And, I don't necessarily think that in order for you to learn something from somebody that you look up to, it doesn't necessarily have to be you sitting down and having a conversation with them. There's a lot of different ways to receive mentorship. But for the sake of this podcast, I challenge you to find somebody that you can ask questions to, and they can sit down with you and give you open, honest feedback and listen and challenge you. Because in my mind, what makes a great mentor is somebody that's going to push your boundaries a little bit, that's going to push you to be more, do more, think about things a different way, offer up different perspectives. Yes, it's really important for us to have cheerleaders, but I think it's also really important to have people that
push
raise the bar for us.
And call you on your shit.
Yeah. So we were talking about my mentors are within my company, Engel and Volkers, and anybody can do that in your industry. It's helpful to do it outside of where you're competing for business so that you don't feel like you have that holding you back from getting good, solid advice. So one of my mentors is older and he's pretty savvy. So we will talk about once a month, and I have my little list of challenges I've been dealing with, and he has great ideas of how to walk through those. And then other ones are helping me create a marketing plan and business plan for the future, and then also working through different challenges.
When you two are looking for a quote unquote mentor, what are some characteristics that you're looking for?
Well, I think there's two different types, like you said. Like, there are people that I haven't really met a lot in my life, like Cody Sanchez or Sarah Blakely, that are really, really important to me. I think Cody Sanchez should definitely run for president. If you don't know who she is, look her up. Cody, Codie. But she's no bullshit. And that I think is the biggest thing for me in a mentor. Like, I don't need somebody to just blow smoke up my butt and tell me that I'm great all the time. That is not what I'm looking for. I want somebody that will challenge me. I want somebody that will say, hey, I actually don't think what you did there was great. I think you should do it this way. And that's scary and it's painful and it like makes me a little bit sick to my stomach to think about it. But those are the people that I need in my life. My people that I know personally that I consider my mentors right now would be my friend Neil Dingra. I've learned all my social media stuff from him. I joined his mastermind group a couple years ago. I've talked about this before. I think it is the number one most important thing I've done for myself. It put me in a room that I was so scared to be in that I almost threw up when I walked in that room the first time. And it ended up being the best thing that I did. This is my third year in the group now. And I feel like I'm the senior now, upperclassman or whatever. And I'm trying to help the new people. And now I'm like, shit, do I need a scarier mastermind to be in now? Because I leveled up so much by being in a room with those people that were doing so much more than me. So Neil is the first one. The second one, she would be shocked if I said this, but Amy Ayler is her name, and she lives in Texas. She works for my company. And I had a conversation with her maybe 6 to 9 months ago, and I was just kind of like, man, I don't know how to get all these things done in the day and blah, blah, blah. And she's like, how big is your team? And I was like, well, I have one person. And she was like, She's like, I have 5 people on my team and you're doing more production than me. And I was like, what? And so her just empowering me to be like, this is what you need to be asking for. You deserve this. You deserve that. You need to go to your manager. They need to be paying for this. They need to be doing that. I was like so blown away. And I was so empowered by that conversation. And I just saw her last week in Houston, and life's been kind of a challenge for her. And she just moved, and her production is less than mine. She said she's not going to make top producer trip this year. And it like crushed me because I was like, I don't know how to do top producer trip without Amy. But I told her, she's like, but girl, I've been watching you. And in her like perfect Southern accent, she's like, I've been watching you, girl. I'm so damn proud of you. And I was like, you get so much credit for that. Like, none of this would have happened had she not given me that ass kicking conversation of, you deserve more. You need to ask for more. And that was the key, is her empowering me to ask for what I wanted.
It's so important to get in the room with people who are where you want to be. When you see somebody that you consider to be more successful than you or making more than you or whatever it is, like, don't be afraid to just ask questions. Like, sometimes it's okay to just ask them questions with no strings attached. You don't have to walk up to somebody and say, hey, will you be my mentor? But
Totally.
You can, ask them to coffee and ask, like, how did you get where you were? When you took that initial leap of faith, what did those first steps feel like? And just ask them questions, because like, those are conversations that people like to have. We like to talk about
people like
what
to talk
we've
about
done.
themselves.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. How about you, Cor? What do you look for in a mentor?
Well, I was just thinking about the different people in my life that are influential in different ways. I am self-employed, being in real estate, and so I'm terrified of hiring anybody again. I got burned so bad this past year and had to pay an attorney to get me out of that mess. But I have 2 of my dad's sisters that have been super influential, and I would consider them mentors too. They would contact me in college because my father passed away when I was 16, and just make sure that I wasn't doing anything stupid and really holding my feet to the fire to be safe.
I love that. And I think that's a good point. It could be a family member, and it doesn't have to be anything business related at all. But I do feel like most of my life, I didn't really have a mentor. I didn't know who I looked up
Mm-hmm.
to. And I will be honest, I think it's one of the things that held me back for a lot of years because
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know. You know, people would ask that question of like, if you could have dinner with anybody, who would it be? And I didn't have an answer.
Mm-hmm.
And just in the last couple of years, I've been like, oh, I got a list now. Like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, let's have dinner with Lori Grenier. Like, how fun would that be? You
Yeah.
know?
I think something that I almost confused, I think there's a difference between mentors and friends.
Mm,
I have some really great friends. I mean, I have, like, if I need to be hyped up, if I need a group of cheerleaders, I have the best community around me, and I will always be able to get that. But when I am going through some hard shit and I need somebody to be like, Britt, what the fuck are you doing? You know, you need to do this. I need those people that are going to call me out when I am either not doing what I said I was going to do or choosing to not make a difficult decision because I want to stay comfortable.
yeah.
I need the people in my life that are willing to hold me to a higher standard. Some friends can do that. I mean, my closest friends do that for me. But I think that, especially when it comes to professional relationships, it's important to have mentors that you have kind of established what that relationship can look like. I abused a couple of those relationships where, like, one of my previous bosses in the insurance industry, I sat down and had coffee with him, and I was kind of asking for mentorship, but I wasn't willing to do the hard things.
Mm,
And so he stopped mentoring me because I wasn't doing what he expected me to do.
mhm.
And I know that if I go back to him now and I'm like, okay, all right, I'm ready, you know, let's do it. I know that he would be like, all right, let's go. But I wasn't ready for that next step when I initially asked for his help.
And sometimes you're not ready at that time.
Mhm.
My business counselor used to tell me not to beat myself up because sometimes you didn't do the thing because it just wasn't the time.
Mhm.
She gave me an example of she kept putting off writing a speech for a gig that she had, and they called her the day before and said that they were going to have to cancel. And she was like, thank God I didn't spend time writing that thing. There was a reason.
I think part of what was hard for me is I almost just wanted to be able to be like, sweet, I got a mentor, so I'm at that next level of success.
Mm,
You know, it was almost just like, sweet, I checked the box, I've done it, I've made it.
Mm.
But like you just said, like, I wasn't ready yet. I thought I was ready. And then when it was like, okay, time to do the hard work, it was like, ah.
I think sometimes the doors don't open until we are the person we need to be to walk through the door.
Exactly.
Like, I know that sounds cheesy, but I really do think that that's a true statement. And when I joined this mastermind group, I remember one of the things they asked us to do was like, write down what's your thing you need the most help with, and then write down what's the thing you can help other people with. And I was like, shit, I don't know. Like, what do I even have to offer these people? And now that list has changed a lot, but I went into that really not knowing what I had to offer. So you kind of have to have a little bit of belief in yourself. And I think you also have to know how you are motivated. Like, some people need the friendly nudge of you're doing great and trying to pull you up that way. And some people, like me, I need my actual ass kicked. Like, I need you to tell me that this is what you have to do, and you didn't do what you said you were going to do. I've had so many different coaches in my life that everybody lets me get away with shit. And I honestly hate that. I have
Same
fired so
here.
many coaches and personal trainers. We talked about that
Yeah.
last week
Yeah.
because they don't hold my feet to the fire. And I'm like, hey, I am a hardcore accountability person. Maybe someday I'll be able to do this myself, but like, I need somebody to hold my feet to the fire and say, this is what you said you're going to do. Do it.
Mhm.
Well, I have to be super realistic because remember we were talking earlier, I get overexcited about too many things and I want to do all of them.
Yeah.
So I have to be careful and be realistic of what my goals are going to be because I will disappoint myself
Yeah.
more than anybody else. And that is brutal.
That is brutal.
Well, I think along those lines, to be a good mentee, if you get a mentor and they are willing to have those hard conversations with you and they're willing to show up for you, you also need to show up prepared and open to the feedback and open to what they're going to provide to you, and
Absolutely.
then do something with the advice that's given to you. Because being a coach for as long as I have been, it can be really discouraging when you're like giving the same feedback over and over, and you're like, if you just do this thing, you got it, and they're not doing that one thing, and eventually you stop telling them. It's like, okay, well, you know what you need to do, so I'm not going to do the hard work for you. If you don't want to do the hard work, then that's your choice. So as a mentee, like, be open-minded and be vulnerable, and even if you're not ready to take the step right now, just like write it down and acknowledge that that's there, so that when you are in the place to take that step, you can.
Well, and I think it can start if you're not fully ready to have that like interactive relationship. It can start with following somebody that you respect online. And some of them, you'll be surprised. Like, I'm a huge Dan Martell fan. You send him a message on Instagram, he will respond to you and he will tell you what is up with your shit. One of the things that I had told him was like, man, I know the things that I need to do to go to the next level. I'm just not doing them. And he was like, okay, so if future Renee wants to make $1 million a year, what does that Renee do? Like, what's her day to day look like? What does her life look like? And I was like, I don't know. And he's like, until you figure that out, you're not going to do the things. And I was like, oh. So it's simply a matter of, okay, what's your why? Figuring out your own reasons behind that. Because if your why isn't strong enough, I don't think there's any amount of coaching or mentorship that's going to get you where you want to be. I think some of that has to come from within.
And that's what the dream board's for, to put your why on in pictures.
It is. And it's funny. Like, I will tell you, I am the biggest believer in vision boards or dream boards, whatever you want to call them. I have this notebook that I build for myself every month, and it's got all my like daily things that I want to check off. But in the back of it is my vision board. And I have to make a new one because I checked almost every damn thing off of that board this year.
Oh, of course you did.
And I was
I'm not
like,
surprised.
I don't even know what
I'm
else is
feeling
going to be on there.
competitive with you now.
But now it's going to be different. And that's what I realized is like, this year isn't necessarily going to be about buying the new things. This is going to be like, I want some like toned arms, and I want like health, and I want specific travel and things like that. But I do think when you have something right in front of you that you look at all the time, it reminds you why you're doing what you do.
Hey, Google, you need to invent a mirror where you can put our dream board and just turn it on in the morning and then turn it off so it doesn't clutter our bathroom.
One of my favorite places that I found a couple of mentors is I attended a women's leadership conference at Montana State University. And it was really cool because they had a couple of keynote speakers that presented in front of everybody. And then they do a bunch of breakoff sessions where you just get the topic and it's for an hour. Each breakout session is an hour, and you get to choose which breakout session you go to. So in the breakout session, there's typically like 50 or less women in the room. And every single person that presented put their personal contact info on the board, and they were like, please message me. I would love to meet with any of you.
That.
And so it was great because it was just an open invitation. So then when you send the email or the text or the phone call or whatever, like, they're expecting to receive it. And so I was able to have coffee with 10 different women and really kind of feel out who I looked up to the most, or who was the most different than me, or who, just whatever it was that I was needing, whatever void I was trying to receive help with, I was able to meet with those people. So if you're maybe feeling like when you look at your circle of influence, the people that you're needing there aren't there yet, there are a lot of ways to meet those people.
I think that's a good point. And I think we'd be remiss not to talk about if your people that you're surrounding yourself with now are negative. I actually shot a reel about this morning, but losers hate winners. They will tear them down every chance they get because it's a mirror of their own what's not going well for them. And so if you are someone that's in a group that is dragging you down, or maybe you don't even see it. Like, here's the hard part about it. Sometimes you don't know. I used to have this group of friends, and I thought I had the best group of friends in the world. And so then they actually were all people that made pretty good money. It wasn't about them not having money, but they talk shit about other people, which, let me promise you, if they're talking shit about other people, they're talking shit about you too. And I unfortunately witnessed it in a really painful way. But what happens is when life is really good, it's easy to be a good friend. And so you can't see the pain points. But all of a sudden, when things start to turn rocky, that's when the snakes show up. That's when it's different. And that's when you can see who your friends really are. And one of the hardest things I've been through in my life was parting ways with those friends and realizing I had nobody and thinking I had all these ride or dies that would do anything for me. And then finding out that was not true. And it broke me. And I'm still very hesitant about building solid relationships with new people for that reason. But what I've really learned is when I found the right group of people, it was a totally different experience. These ladies in this room or my mastermind group that will always support me, no, the good, the bad, or the ugly. And I think that's the key. When things are good, you can't see who your real friends are. But when the chips are down, that is when you need to pay attention of who still shows up for you. And not the person that's like, yeah, life sucks. Everything sucks. And, there's a moment for that to commiserate a little bit. But who's the one that's going to be like, okay, what's our solution? How do we get past this? What are the things that you need to do in your life to make this better for you? Those are the people that you need to gravitate towards. And if you don't have any of those, find them. And sometimes the way to find it is to be that for somebody else.
My JV coach that I had for a few years at Belgrade, his name's Mike. One of the things that he always told his team was, so what, now what? And, okay, you lose a set,
like
or
that.
maybe you just made 5 mistakes in a row. He'd be like, so what? Now what are you going to do about it? Mm-hmm. And that's something that I tell myself all the freaking time. Like when I'm feeling down and I'm frustrated and life is sucking, I'll let myself feel my feels for a little bit.
I think that's important.
Yes. And then I'll be like, okay, so what? Now what? What is in my control? What am I going to do about it? And I think that it's just a good, easy thing to tell yourself. It's 4 words. It's like, all right, okay, reset.
I like that.
Here we go.
That's much fancier. Ours is fuck it, on to the next. But I like that a lot better. But there's always things that happen in the mortgage world that are painful, or a client shops you and leaves you for some terrible loan officer because they have a slightly better interest rate or whatever. And there's only so many things you control. But the only thing you can control is your reaction to it. And that is a hard thing to learn. But the faster you can learn that, speed of recovery, I think, is one of the most important things that determines whether you're successful in life or not. One is how fast can you implement? Number 2 is how quickly can you recover when shit goes wrong? Because it will go wrong.
Pivot.
Pivot.
In the words of Ross.
Oh, well, we have had this conversation in the past, but mentors can be found in a lot of different shapes and sizes. They can be old sports coaches, old teachers, old coworkers. They can be people that are in your friend group. They can be somebody you run into and meet at the grocery store, or somebody you meet at a networking event. But
my client said his dad and his grandfather were his.
I think that's common. I do think that sometimes, it can definitely be family, but it could also be somebody that you don't know or somebody that you want to know. I was in Houston last week for a company sales rally, and a girl at my table, her name's Christy. She's the #1 producer in my company, which is a big deal. Like, my company's big producers. And she was like, she ended up being the nicest person ever. And I've never talked to her before. I've seen her at top producer trips. She's always by herself. And I just kind of thought maybe I hope she doesn't think that I'm being mean if she ever listens to this, but I thought maybe she's kind of stuck up or doing her own thing. But I think she's kind of like me. She just doesn't reach out to people very easily. But she came to me and was like, I really want some help with my social media. And like, my jaw dropped. I was like,
she wants my
you want help from me? I'm like, deal. Like, let's trade. I want to know what your day-to-day looks like. So I actually sent her an email after I got back this week, and I was like, hey, I would love to learn from you. And if there are things I can help you with, I'm totally happy to do it. But I'd love to pick your brain too. So sometimes you just got to be a little bit bold. It might be somebody that you don't even know, but that you maybe are acquaintances with or that you know of. And you just got to be bold. And if they're a jerk and they tell you no, they're not your person anyway.
100%.
But chances are that will be it.
Don't profile people. We just had that conversation before this, and you just never know what's really going on.
Well, the answer is always no if you don't ask.
Yes.
If you're not willing to get out of your comfort zone a little bit and send a message, then the answer is already no. But I mean, I would say 9 out of 10. What?
9 out of 10 times.
9 out of 10 times, you're going to at least get a response from them.
Especially if they're the right person. I think that's the key. Not everybody is going to be that right person. Mm-hmm. And if you try and it doesn't work out, that doesn't mean that you're just done and you're never going to have a mentor. Go find the next one.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
That scared me.
Just make sure that you're auditing your circle of influence. If you don't have people that are hyping you up or that are cheering you on and pushing you to the next level, find those people. Do you have people who challenge, inspire, guide? If not, that's your sign to go find somebody who will.
Absolutely. And as always, if this is helpful, please share it. Please comment. Please like, subscribe. We want to help as many people as we possibly can. So we appreciate you helping us spread the word.
We'll see you all next week. Here's to inspiring each other one story at a time.
Cheers.